So today, at 103 million, the number of displaced people is continuously growing. Settlements that are meant to be temporary become places where families can spend decades. And we need these homes to be built sustainably. And that was the premise of the Essential Homes Research Project, a partnership between the Norman Foster Foundation and Holcim.
There you go. An essential home, it is a place that provides durability, safety, dignity, well-being, and needs to be built sustainably. So to talk to us more about this absolutely essential work, please welcome a member of the MIT Climate and Sustainability Consortium Advisory Council, a member of Bloomberg Cities Council for Sustainable Cities, the Chief Sustainability Officer of Holcim Noleg Forest.
And with her, two brilliant young leaders, Holcim scholar and human rights advocate, Rohingya consultant, and English as a second language specialist teacher, Noriza, and Holcim scholar and architect, shelter and settlement coordinator at the Norwegian Refugee Council, Karim Irani. Welcome, welcome.
Hey, Tony.
How are you?
Hi.
Hi, David. Great to see you. All the best. Great. Thank you so much. How are you going?
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of Holcim, I'm really delighted to be engaging with you all today on a topic that's really dear to our hearts, sustainable building, of course, but more importantly, bringing these sustainable homes to the most vulnerable populations in the world today, displaced communities, for a number of different reasons. So we are really looking forward to engaging with you on a number of different facets behind the refugee crisis in our world today, so that we can come together and find solutions. It's fantastic to be here in Belfast today. I think there's no better city in the world to be engaging with you on how to build peace and reconciliation. In particular, as we are going to get ready to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the peace agreement, where we saw the community rise above conflict to build peace. But also, there's no better community in this room today to be engaging with. 2,000 young leaders from around the world who are all here sitting in this room because you are recognized change makers in your companies and organizations. So when you put your mind to something, you make an impact. So I'm super excited to see what you're going to do with our call to action to all of you to build the world you want to live in, and to join us to build it sustainably and to build it for all, including the stateless communities around the world. Now, why does... Yeah. And so why does building matter in terms of thriving and creating peace? Actually, buildings is what creates the shape of how we want to come together as society. We are the material expression of our world's values. So when it comes to building for peace, we can embed peace into buildings design. I'm going to share an example with you. When the war broke out in Ukraine, at Holcim, we wanted to play our part. We wanted to come up with solutions to bring support to the populations that had been displaced. So we partnered with the Norman Foster Foundation to imagine smart shelters that we could roll out and bring to the displaced communities that were fleeing Ukraine. And as we engaged, the Norman Foster Foundation convened a whole range of experts from the UN, architects, shelter experts from around the world. And we realized that we kind of got ourselves down the wrong paradigm. We realized that there are 103 million people that are displaced in our world today, and that 1 in 3 of those people are actually children who are born in refugee camps, who are raised in refugee camps, and more importantly, spend decades. We realize that on average, displaced communities spend 2 decades in displacement. So we're talking about generations of people that are actually in these temporary settlements. So we basically threw our project away and we said we have to start from scratch. We cannot build a shelter, we have to build homes. We cannot build a camp, we have to build communities. And what was exciting about our contribution at Holcim is that we wanted to build it sustainably. So we deployed a whole range of solutions that were low carbon, circular, and energy efficient in a way that was super affordable to be able to provide essential homes to the people most in need in a way that is scalable around the world today. And so Norman Foster and his team took the task and have designed it. I was in Venice with them yesterday at the Biennale of Architecture, where we have displayed this solution, because now we are reaching out around the world to find the right partners to bring this solution at scale around the world to reach the populations most in need. Today, I am joined by two incredible leaders who are the voices of those communities. Noor is a Rohingya refugee. The Rohingya population is one of the largest stateless populations in the world today. She is joining us today. She started school at the age of 8 years and a half, and she learned how to speak English. She was a refugee in Australia, and she graduated from the most prestigious university in Australia. So her story...
Thank you.
Her story is the story of hope, and it shows the power that you can all unleash when you set your mind to something. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Noor to share her story with you.
Thank you, Nolag, for the very gracious introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand today before you as Noriza, a Rohingya refugee, a survivor of the ongoing genocide. My journey began in the small town called Mangdor in the Rakhine state of Myanmar. It was once a thriving home to a large Rohingya Muslim community. Yet, even in my earliest years, I experienced homelessness, statelessness, and the harsh reality of being unwanted in the very place I considered as home. While my childhood should have been filled with school, playmates, in the innocence of youth, my family and I instead navigated jungles, evading danger at every turn, sleeping on roadsides, and scrounging for sustenance. We embarked on a long and very dangerous journey through Southeast Asia, eventually finding refuge in Malaysia. Our hopes for a brighter future were met with the cruel pangs of hunger as days passed when my siblings and I would go without food. Today, I bear witness to the countless of voices of Rohingya women who have endured unimaginable atrocities. That includes systemic rape, torture, and the loss of family and friends, scars etched into their souls. In 2003, my family and I were resettled in Australia. I was just 8.5 years old. Australia offered me a home like no other, and I remain eternally grateful for this opportunity. However, let's not forget the 1.5 million Rohingya refugees forcibly displaced from their ancestral homeland, and with approximately 600,000 Rohingya confined to internally displaced camps in the Rakhine state of Myanmar. Approximately 200,000 in Malaysia, with a few thousand in India, Thailand, and Indonesia. We lack the legal rights for protection, education, and livelihood. Our community, we face ongoing exclusion and discrimination and oppression in host countries, refugee camps, and IDP camps in Myanmar. Empowering women advocates and leaders is critical to address the diverse security risk and protection needs of our women and girls. It is for them and my community that I now stand as a human rights advocate. I recognize that education was my gateway to advocating for my people. So I pursued a Bachelor of Education and a Masters of Peace and Conflict Studies at the University of Sydney. Over to you, Nolag.
Noor, thank you for being such a beacon of hope for all of us. You recently were visiting some camps. You were in Banda Aceh in Indonesia, and before that you were in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is where there is the largest refugee camp in the world with the Rohingya population. 1.5 million people live in Bangladesh in this refugee camp. Can you tell us about how you're supporting women in particular and giving them a voice in the solution there?
Yeah, so one of my recent endeavors was co-founding the Rohingya Mayafonor Collaborative Network, along with 4 other remarkable Rohingya women from the diaspora. Among our group were a doctor, an engineer, the CEO of a prominent human rights organization, and a political science expert. Mayafwana means women in our language, and this network serves as a platform for Rohingya women worldwide to collaborate, share, and preserve our culture. In many instances, such spaces have been denied to women like myself, and our voices are often silenced in decision-making processes. An example of our work was a joint effort by 5 of us, coming from New Zealand, America, Canada, and Australia. Together, we visited a refugee camp in Indonesia, in Aceh, where 152 Rohingya refugees were living. We engaged with women, men, and children, listening to the strong desires of the parents that wanted to provide education for their children. We took these concerns back to stakeholders in Aceh and Jakarta, and there is now a glimmer of hope for 84 of the children to attend schooling. This stands as a testament to the power of refugee women, leading initiatives for our own communities. We not only possess lived experiences, but also the pillars of strength for our communities. My plea to all of you is to throw your unwavering support behind refugee-led women's networks. Wherever possible, provide the essential funding they need as the impact is profound. Supporting refugees in realizing their full educational potential, whether they are in camps, host countries, or resettled nations. For the potential of refugees is immeasurable when resources are made available. Lastly, let us continue to create spaces where refugees like myself can share their stories and their vital work. So thank you, Holson. Thank you for your time and consideration. Together, we can be a beacon of hope for refugees and those that are still seeking refuge and justice.
Thank you so much, Noor, for sharing your story with us. You'll have the opportunity to engage more with Noor throughout the day. She will be at the Wholesome booth area if you want to exchange further stories on how to support the Rohingya refugee populations. Now we're going to shift over to Karim. Karim is a humanitarian architect from Lebanon. He started his career with Zaha Hadid Architects in London and realized that he wanted to put more purpose into his work to go back to Lebanon and make a bigger impact. Why don't you tell us, Karim, how buildings can be the symbol of peace?
So thank you, Noleg, and hello, everyone. So my name is Karim Irani, and I'm from Lebanon. And as you mentioned, I'm a humanitarian architect, and what we all know is that architects are constantly exploring innovative ways to shape our world. And our most profound responsibility is designing homes. But it's not just about what we design or how we design it, but it's about who inhabits the homes that we are designing. And as per my experience with the Norwegian Refugee Council, I'm going to share with you, if you allow me, some insights into how our work can be leveraged to create safe and sustainable housing solutions. So here are 3 main points to focus on for an impactful change. First, settlement-based approach, participation, and finally, greening your solution. Settlement-based approach is like working in a neighborhood or an area-based approach by addressing the needs of each and every person makes the approach human-centered and multidisciplinary, which lead to holistic solutions. Also, sustainability is best applied through the rehabilitation of spaces already appropriated by people. So do work with existing structures. Second, participation. Do door-to-door assessments, be on the ground, ask people what they want, trust vulnerable communities so they can trust you. Try owner and tenant-led approaches, not only contractor-led ones. And participation should be in all the phases of our projects, be it in design or implementation. And remember, no one knows better how their homes should look like more than their inhabitants. Teach them, let them do the work, empower them, guide them. This will lead to social cohesion. and will reduce tensions between host and refugee communities while creating job opportunities for both, and it will strengthen their relationships. Finally, green your solutions. We at the Norwegian Refugee Council are trying to include locally made materials as much as possible. In our projects, we use solar water heaters, solar streetlights, we do solar pumping stations, not only to reduce energy consumption and CO2 emissions, but also in Lebanon to reduce the dependency on a state that failed to provide its people with their basic rights of electricity. So the Lebanese people had to stand up and come with green solutions. If we as a struggling nation were able to do that, every one of you could do it.
That was a great call to action, Karim, for all our wholesome delegates here to scale up sustainable building solutions with speed. Karim, a big moment in your journey was the explosion in Beirut. Can you tell us how that was a catalyst in your action?
Yes. So it's a very sensitive subject, as things in Lebanon have been already piling up long before the explosion, unfortunately. If you allow me to share with you a brief context. So Lebanon is now facing its worst socio-economic situation in decades. We have a currency devaluation that reached more than 90%. We have the largest number of refugees per capita and per square kilometer in the world. We had the 2019 revolution, and then the COVID pandemic. And on top of all of that, the 4th of August 2020, the tragic day of the Beirut port explosion. And after 3 years, we are still seeking justice for the victims. And it was just a few hours after that tragedy that with a local organization called Afrojoie, that I decided to step up, to volunteer and to mobilize, and to use my skills to help rebuild my country. While we were adding brick after brick, we knew that we weren't only rebuilding walls, but also we were giving hope and participating in rebuilding a nation that suffered a lot. Let me just share with you a few numbers. So more than 6,000 volunteers mobilized directly after the blast with Afrojoie. We had more than 800,000 person-hours of volunteering hard work. And within all this positive impact happening, there are a lot of things that I'm proud of. One of them is that we were able to bring back people to their homes. But there is another one that I would like to share with you, if you allow me as well. Let me also give you another short contextualization. So it all started a couple of years back when the same NGO decided to join forces with other actors on the ground to rebuild two of the poorest neighborhoods in the region, Bab el-Tebene and Jabal Mahsen in Tripoli. So this conflict, Bab el-Tebene and Jabal Mahsen conflict, was a recurring one between residents of different religions living in two nearby neighborhoods. And it's a conflict that lasted more than 35 years. Our mission back then was to help bring peace and reconciliation to these neighborhoods through architecture and social activities. After the Beirut port explosion, Afrojoie decided that most of the skilled workers that are going to be working underground should be selected from these two neighborhoods. And they were placed in teams, working together, hand in hand, for the greater good. And it is through this one common goal, way more important than their conflict, that they joined forces. And one of the main goals that I share with my NGO is that we believe that fragmented societies can heal through the creation of human relationships born of shared opportunities. The peace process is still long, but we were able to initiate this impossible reconciliation, and I can proudly say that I was a witness to those changes. Thank you all for your attention.
I want to sincerely thank Karim and Noor for these deeply humbling testimonials. I think what it really resonates for us is that change happens right here, right now with all of us. Individual action is where everything begins. But then if you can partner up with like-minded organizations and people who share the same vision as you, you can scale up your impact. So my call to action to all of you is find those partners, find those people out there who share the same vision as you, and partner to scale up impact, because we have no time to waste. So go for impact, partner across the board, but also for all of the teams here at Wholesome, we want to build the world that we want to live in. So let's build it in a way that's inclusive, in a way that is for peace, and in a way that is sustainable. And we invite you all to join us in making that happen.
Thank you. Thank you, Noleg, Noor, and Karim. Wonderful job. Thank you so much.